Hey, what's happening out there? This is Halftime Prep Talk. As always, HTPT is sponsored by Fannin Automotive Family. Thank you for watching on dailyindependent.com or YouTube or our Facebook page. We're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl soon, but right now I want to introduce the Zanzi's Ticker. It's our upcoming games this weekend in the area, and also want to let you know that Mandy Layne, Russell girls basketball coach, will be joining us here in just a little bit, so stick around for that. Should be a good talking to her. We're going to talk a little bit about her playing days, which she was a great player in the area when she played at Ashland West Carter, and we're also going to talk about her current team at Russell. But right now I want to introduce myself. I'm Aaron Snyder, and we have Zack Klemme to my left and Marshawn Sparks to my right.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Zack, do you have any plans for this weekend's big game between the Patriots and the Seahawks?
Did we say the big game so we don't get sued for breaking a copyright thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to say what the actual name of the game is?
No.
Okay. Well, if there's a big
I don't know
game,
the number. Is it Super Bowl 68?
I don't know.
Okay.
I wasn't very good with Roman numerals.
I think it's like 49 or something.
I think that sounds right.
Okay.
Just a guess.
We're very well informed here. Anyway, you got any plans?
I do. I'll be here working.
Oh,
My
yeah.
boss has me working on Sunday night.
Oh, that's right. What a jerk.
Yeah.
Marshawn, plans?
Thanks for asking.
All right. Well, the big thing about the Super Bowl this year is, for me, and every year,
Katy Perry?
Katy Perry is the halftime entertainment. But no, not really. I'm more looking forward to the food and just the camaraderie. You get with your buddies, and I try to make my wife watch a quarter or two, and you put bets down on the coin flip. No, I don't do that. I'm not that insane. But what kind of foods do you guys like leading up to the Super Bowl? Marshawn, I mean, first of all, I want to invite you to, since Zack will be working, I want to invite you to the party that I'll be at, Mr. Sparks, Marshawn Sparks.
I'm grateful.
That he is. And let's talk about food now. I mean, I know Marshawn's got a Skittle, so he's going to be tasting the rainbow. But what do you have on the menu?
Well, big fan of chicken wings, and you really can't go wrong with anything fried, I think, as a general rule. So,
You like them hot?
It's not a good night
We
to be
talked
checking
about
your cholesterol. Yeah, we have talked about that. Let's not go down that road again.
I know. Sorry.
That was painful.
Chicken wings. How about chili? Some hot chili?
Yeah.
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 My specialty is the buffalo chicken dip. Okay, you got a layer of cream cheese. I'm going to give you the secret recipe right now. I guess it's not secret anymore. You got a layer of cream cheese, and then you got the canned chicken breast. Okay,
Canned?
Yeah, canned.
Okay.
I don't have to be all fancy.
Okay.
All right, you cut it up, chop it up very nicely, finely, and then you got You got to go with blue cheese and Frank's Red Hot Sauce. Marshawn, you got to go with Frank's Red Hot Sauce. You can't go wrong with that.
Thanks for asking.
Think I asked you.
That was a question.
Marshawn is not breaking character one bit. Marshawn, do you like cheese? Do you like cheese, Marshawn?
I'm grateful.
Grated cheese. That's what we like. So that's the next ingredient. You put some some shredded Colby Jack cheese on top of that, and top it off, and you put it in the oven. Set the preheat for, I know it's a random number, 360.
It is a little bit.
Yeah. And then you can do a 360 turn because you're celebrating the victory.
Icky Wood shuffle action.
Oh, Icky Wood shuffle. Icky shuffle. Cold cuts. You got your chicken dip coming up. 360 for 15 minutes, and there you go. Voila. And it's great with Frito scoops or Tostito scoops. That's pretty much all I got. I mean, we got now we got to go to predictions time.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got? You got the Seahawks or the Pats?
Patriots, after all this kind of hullabaloo, tempest in a teapot, deflated balls nonsense this week, I think they're going to come out pretty focused after all this, and they seem to thrive on these kind of us against the world thing. And a lot of times teams will kind of manufacture that in their own heads, but I think in this regard it might actually be true. There's literally nobody outside Boston or Foxborough, Massachusetts that wants New England to win, and they kind of thrive in that, and they'll come out exceptionally focused, I think, and play a good football game.
Marshawn might come after you.
If he can catch me.
Wow. I'm going Patriots too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say hullabaloo or tempest in a teapot, but
Those are fun words to say.
they are fun. When you get a chance to say them, say them. Word of the day, hullabaloo. I'm going to go with the team in blue, and I'm going to go with the Pats. And I guess Seahawks wear blue too, don't they, Marshawn?
Thanks for asking.
Patriots are going to – they overcome adversity better than any team in professional sports.
I agree.
And I think they're going to do the same thing. I'm even going to pick a score. I'm going to go 27-21 Patriots. Marshawn, you're up.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
You have to have a prediction for the game. I know you do.
Patriots.
Nice.
Patriots.
Nice.
How can you pick the Patriots? How many yards is Marshawn Lynch going to have?
150.
It's not a bad night against New England.
He went unscripted though.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, the
Seemed
lines
like a
were
very arbitrary number.
the lines where I'm looking at him here. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Thanks for asking. And I'm only here so I don't get fined. You went with none of the above. You went 150. How many touchdowns?
2.
Some of the games you like to play too, with the you got the grid, the scoring grid.
Mhm.
We're playing that here at the Independent. Rocky Stanley is the veteran sports writer. He's always the commissioner of that game. So,
commish.
yeah, the commish of the Gridorama.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like it.
we'll hopefully at the end of each quarter, it's based on the score at the end of each quarter, and if you land in the box that the last number of each score falls on, then you win that money for each quarter. And we got it to where it's $1 a square. You win $20 after each quarter, and if you got the final score right, let's say I've got 1 and 7, and it's 21-17 or 27-21 as I predicted, then I'll win $40. How about that?
Good
I'm going
luck.
to go ahead and predict I'm going to win too. Adam Van Kirk, your streak is over. All
How does he
right.
win everything all the time? I don't
I don't
understand.
know. He won our prediction this year,
Well-
the independent pick'em in football. He did watch a game this season, but I'll give him that. All right, we're going to throw Marshawn to the curb and bring a basketball in and talk about some high school basketball. All right, it's time for HTPTs. Balls in their court. Zach, your game ball for the week.
Looking at Chase Porter from Elliott County, he's been one of their guys this year that is capable of going off for a big night every night. They got 3 or 4 guys that are capable of scoring in double figures. And, of course, he had the huge shot in the All-A region final the other night against Morgan County. They were down 1.6 seconds to go, got the ball into their own basket, and Hunter Holbrook makes a nice pass there, turns and banks in a shot from almost half court to beat Morgan County and to send them to the All-A tournament. So big night for him and for Elliott County certainly. So we'll go with Chase Porter.
If Elliott County did have a football team, Hunter Holbrook might be the quarterback with that kind of throw.
Well, how is he going to play golf and football at the same time? That'd be a little difficult.
That's a great point. Holbrook is a good golfer.
So
And
I've heard.
He drives at like 300-plus yards on average.
So that would be who you'd want to be inbounding the ball from under
That's
your own
impressive.
basket too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Solid.
All right, I'm going to go with Brock Dameron from Boyd County for a few reasons. One, I mean, he gives him a real spark off the bench. He was 5 for 5 shooting against Ashland, including 3 of 3 from beyond the arc. Team high 20 points against Rose Hill. Then he had 7 against Russell, which were important points off the bench because the starters were kind of struggling a little bit. Didn't really have the energy I think that Coach Anderson wanted to see. And then the bench came off and got onto the court and really they kind of had Anderson kind of had a red-white platoon going. To steal a page out of John Calipari's book, but Brock Dameron is part of that white platoon, I guess, and he's been a real spark for them. And what's impressive, the most impressive thing to me about Dameron is he broke his ankle. It was a vicious break. A couple years ago as a freshman during a game late in the season. Under the basket, he broke his ankle, and it actually broke 3 bones in his ankle, and it was almost like a complete break. And for him to come back and become a baseball standout as he has, and now impacting again on the basketball court, very impressive from Dameron.
Yeah, Randy Anderson's talked all year about the need for them to have some guys, which really separates them from some other teams in the region that are maybe a little bit better. They're very top talent guys, but they don't have the depth that Boyd does. Boyd can go 8 or 9 deep and feel pretty good about what it's going to get. And really, they and Elliott County are maybe the 2 deepest teams in the region at this point.
All right, let's square up and shoot our 3-point shot. Friday night, West Carter, East Carter. The boys go at it, and West Carter's still looking for their first win in 62nd District play, so real important for them. East is trying to compete there with Elliott possibly for that top seed, although it might be a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, East is at 2-2 right now, so they've got a shot to do something maybe, but really they just got back to 500 for the first time in like a month or 5 weeks or so on Tuesday with their win at Ashland. They're looking to go above 500 for the first time all year, so they've got a lot to play for. And of course, East beat West pretty handily at West Place, held them to I think 29 points earlier in January. So we kind of talked to East and West coaches this week, and really that can work both in East's favor and in West's favor, depending on who you're looking at, because that gives East some confidence, but it kind of lights a fire under West a little bit. So it should be interesting to see kind of the early minutes of that game, of who shows up and gets into their game plan and plays looser and with more energy.
Yeah, and Brad Stacy, the new sports editor of Moorhead News and also the papers in Grayson Olive Hill, he's going to be on the scene, so he's going to be covering the game for us, so looking forward to that too. West Carter and East Carter Friday night. West Carter, I think that it's important maybe for them not so much to climb out of the cellar just because that's such a competitive district.
Right.
They will probably end up the 4 seed the way things are going, although they can turn that around. But it would be important for their confidence to get that win. Rowan County at Mason County, boys, on the same night, I believe. And we're looking at a Mason County streak against the 16th region of how many games now is that?
That's 14 games. They've beaten Easton, Ashland, and Boyd in that order this year, and they played very well. Boyd is one of the top 2 or 3 teams in this region, and Mason, for the later stages of that game, kind of had its way. So, and of course, Rowan is coming off a real tough outing against Clark County last week, which Clark is probably roughly equal with Mason in that 10th region. So it'll be interesting to see how Rowan responds to what happened to them last week against the Cardinals. And
Rowan was the last team to beat them in 2012, the last 16th region team to beat Mason in 2012. I kind of lean towards Mason if I had to make a pick in this game, even though Rowan is coming off a huge win over Green up 63-27. It's kind of a different ball game, like you say, when you're going up against the Mason and Clarks of the top tier teams of the 10th region. Although this will be a huge win for Rowan if they can pull it off.
Yeah, the thing about Mason too is they've been pretty banged up, 2 or 3 starters out the last week or two. So Rowan maybe will have a little bit more depth depending on whether Mason's able to get other guys back or not. So that may play a factor.
And I'm going to say it right now. I think if Rowan County wins this game, it could be a springboard for them heading into the last stretch of the season and into the postseason. And right now, if I had to pick a region winner, I would pick Rowan County.
If they win this game?
If they win this game. Boyd County and St. Joe girls, the Huntington St. Joe girls, that is, in Huntington on Saturday at 12:55 of all the odd times in this world. They're playing at Big Sandy Superstore Arena, so it could be a good atmosphere there. Ashland beat St. Joe by 14 a couple weeks ago. St. Joe was ranked number 1 in Class A in West Virginia at the time. And it'll be interesting to see what Boyd can do and how the 2 scores kind of compare.
Just another measuring stick for these guys. And, of course, games like this don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things except it gets your kids in another experience and gets them maybe out of their comfort zone. And you're playing a team you don't know a lot about. And those are maybe the most interesting games to watch because you're kind of starting from scratch and you get to make your adjustments and see how people respond to that. So.
And by that point, Logan Fraley could be a 2,000-point scorer. She was at 1965 heading into Thursday's game against West Carter. Going to 2 cents worth, pick a couple items from my column on Monday. One, let's talk about the impact that Isaiah King and Timmy Dalton could have for their respective teams, being Fairview and Lawrence County. Isaiah King coming back from a broken fibula that he suffered at the end of the football season. Timmy Dalton was out for some undisclosed reasons for a few weeks. but he's back now, and he scored 31 points against a team called Schroeder out of Cincinnati, which is a highly competitive game that Lawrence County won 84-83. So how do you think these two guys could impact their teams?
Well, Isaiah King, you look at Fairview, and it's a team that's had a pretty solid year so far already, and that just gives them one more very athletic guy, physical guy, who, knows Derek Cooksey's system and what they want to do. And Fairview's already in pretty good shape in that district. They gave Boyd all they wanted the first time, and they'll play him again here soon, and they beat Ashland. Of course, they'll play Ashland again on Friday, and that'll be interesting to see what adjustments Ashland's made since then. But if and when he's back and he's really ready to be at full strength, then that just gives them one more guy that is able to do what Fairview does. And as far as Timmy Dalton's concerned, Lawrence is maybe one of the top 2 teams in the 15th region coming into the year, and they've kind of underachieved a little bit, struggled some against a very tough schedule.
Scoring a lot of points, though.
Scoring a lot of points, giving up a lot, though, and he's a guy that's good for maybe 25 or 30 a night on a good night, and so that'll certainly help them out.
Yeah, I think when the one word that comes to mind when you look at these two guys is explosiveness. I think it brings they bring explosiveness to both teams. And I think Timmy Dalton, like you said, he's instant energy out there, and he can really fill it up. Isaiah King, it might take a little bit for him to get in the swing of things, but by the time district tournament rolls around, he could really deliver an impact for the Eagles. Raceland, the second item here is Raceland boys are 4-0 now in the 63rd district. I know we talked about them some the last couple weeks, how they possibly could even be the favorite in that district now. But part of the reason for that is because Greenup County has experienced so many issues. And Greenup County was a team going into the season, was ranked 3rd by coaches in the preseason poll in the 16th region. So what's gone wrong with the Musketeers? They're coming off a 63-27 loss to Rowan County, who is kind of pinned as the favorite going into the year.
The key to them is the way Greenup plays. They've got a real good big guy inside in Jai Jackson, very explosive, to use that word again. They like to shoot the threes, though, and if they're not falling, then that gets them out of what they're wanting to do, and they're capable of hitting 10 or 12 threes on any given night, but on nights where that shot's not falling for them, then they're just going to struggle to score, and they press a little bit, and they get out there and they shoot real long 25, 26-footers, and when you're not scoring, it makes life that much more difficult than every other aspect of the game.
I'm not sure exactly how they're handling this now, but Jarrell Jackson, who was once the starting point guard, he was coming off the bench there, and it was kind of helping them out a little bit, just giving them some kind of energy off the bench. And you look at Greenup now, like you say, the settling for the three-point jumpers has kind of sometimes gotten them late in games, and the latest example, Rowan County, I mean, they were never in the game, so you can't really use that, but they were 0 for 12 in that game. It seems like they just do better when Jai Jackson stays out of foul trouble and is more involved in that game in the paint. I know he's encountered some issues with foul trouble throughout the season, so that kind of hinders him sometimes. But if he can stay out of foul trouble, it seems like they can really play well.
I think one thing they've not figured out, and there may be so many different reasons for this, is it's hard to know sometimes on a given night how the game is going to be called. There's not a lot of consistency, it seems like, between some officials and others, and even in some officials from one game to the next. It's hard to know how exactly a game is going to be called, and they've not adjusted well to that, which is something that Greenup can't control. They can't control how the game is called, but they can control their adjustment to it, and it's just been a little bit of a struggle.
When their shot is on, though, when Wireman's hitting, when Hughes is hitting, they can be almost as dangerous as anybody.
Absolutely. They could go down to Moorhead and shoot like lights out for 3 games and win the region. They've got guys, Gage Hughes and Christian Wireman, and guys like that who are capable of hitting 5 threes without breaking a sweat. That's the thing about Greenup, is they're kind of mercurial in a way, because they could have an outing like they had against Rowan County and score 27 points, or they could put up 97 points. I mean, it just depends on what's going on that night.
All right, switching gears to girls basketball, we're going to bring in Russell girls basketball coach Mandy Layne, who's been at the helm of the Lady Devils since 2009, so stick around. All right, we want to bring in our guest this week on HTPT, and it's Russell girls basketball coach Mandy Layne. Coach, it's great to have you down here. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for inviting me.
And first, before we talk about Mandy Layne, I wanted to talk about Mandy Sterling a little bit and go back to your playing days some. So first, how would you describe your playing style back in the late 90s, early 2000s?
Oh, well, when I talk to people, they always talk about I never saw a bad shot. So I like to shoot threes, obviously, and like to score. Sometimes defensively, my dad would kind of give me a hard time and say you weren't so, worried about the defensive end. But I definitely like to get my teammates involved and also, like I said, mostly a scorer.
Well, you definitely scored a lot of points. Right now you're 6th on the all-time 16th region scoring list with 2,337 points. Somebody in the district right now, Lewis County, Savannah Anderson, kind of getting close to that even. She's at 10th right now, and she's shooting up the list. She's close to 2,200 right now. So, but you had a bunch of teammates right there too in that top 10 list at West Carter. Going back to those days, I mean, you guys just put up a lot of points and had a lot of fun and won a lot of games, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, both at Ashland and West Carter. I was fortunate enough to play in 4 regional finals, and we won 2, regional titles. And obviously, lifelong dream of winning the state championship, which will be something I can always remember.
What do you still remember or, kind of carry from John Hop Brown and his impact?
The one thing I carry from him is to be a good teammate. I try to teach that to my kids and tell them 2 things they can always control is their attitude and effort. And like I said, always show class and just play with everything you got.
On Monday, you guys will be going to West Carter, and every time you walk into that gym, if you look up in the rafters, you see the banners hanging, you see your name up there in the 2,000 point club. What's that mean to you to look up there and see that?
Oh, it's special. I think it's kind of motivating to my players too, because I try to tell them, what hard work does. Sometimes when you're in high school, you don't realize some kids may not be working, and as much time and stuff I put into it, I felt like, I really got to reap the rewards. And it also makes me think of my teammates, though, because without them, obviously all those wonderful things couldn't have happened.
Absolutely. And, looking at past your high school days a little bit now, going into college, you played at a school called Barry University in Florida. Then you came up to Northern Kentucky, right?
Yes. Yeah, and Barry, we did really well my first year, and then actually after my freshman year, they actually found a bone tumor in my leg, so I had to have major surgery. Never kind of really overcame that, so my senior year I became student assistant and actually got to do some recruiting and stuff, which was pretty awesome.
What was that transition like, though, from a player and then becoming the student assistant and then transitioning into coaching?
Well, one difference is when you're on the other side of the fence of coaching, it's totally different, from the player's mentality. So one thing that I basically took from it is, at times as players, sometimes maybe you should listen more to your coaches, for example. And Coach Nancy Winston, who I consider a legend, especially coaching at the Division II level, all the things that she did, and then it just helped me evolve, but then it also made me realize of how I could communicate with my players better and maybe make them successful.
And, talking about your players now, you took over Russell, I think in 2009, right?
Yes.
After you were at Fairview. You've had some real quality teams and quality players, and last season you guys kind of surprised the region a little bit, beating Boyd County in the first round and having a 21-win season, and I know that was a special year for you guys, and you're trying to carry that over into this season. How has that come along so far, you think?
I think it's come along. I really like the way we're competing. We struggle to compete against the top-tier teams, and I feel like, this year we've really competed with them. We're right now trying to get over the hump and actually beat one of those top-tier teams, and that's kind of our goal in these next 11 games and hopefully going into the district and region. But I just love this group of kids. They work so hard, and I feel like they want to get better each and every day.
Opportunities to knock off a top-tier team really coming up. A huge week, especially February 6th through 13th. You guys play Greenup, which is in the district. Then you play Lewis, which is probably considered one of the top-tier teams. And then at Ashland. So big week there. Yeah,
it's a huge week. And, Lewis County has become quite a rivalry between the two schools. And so they're senior Latin, and we played last time without Darnell, and we felt like we played them close. So I look that to be very competitive. And then Ashland, we're actually coming in on their senior night, so that'll be quite interesting. But once again, our goal will be competing. As we said, we hope to compete and eventually get over the hump and hopefully, win one of those games like we did last year.
Well, recently you guys competed very closely with East Carter and kind of gave them a scare there. It was 62-54 was the final score. And I know you had to take away a lot of positives from that game.
Oh, we definitely did. We had to play our 6. You know, we're still trying to. We have a lot of middle school kids right now with us, and we didn't have Shelby. And what we're trying to get these kids to understand is competing for 32 minutes and keeping the same intensity level and doing the little things that'll help you win big games.
How would you compare the talent? Because, I mean, you look at girls basketball right now in the 16th region, and the talent level is just way up there, sky high right now. A lot of Division I caliber players. How would you compare it to when you played?
Well, when we played, honestly, you had probably 3 or 4 that were kind of right there.
Which a lot of that was concentrated
yeah,
on one team.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And but now I feel like there's 6 or 7 teams, and especially 5 teams that could really compete, for the title. I'd say the overall talent in the region has gotten a whole lot better and has really evolved and really has made it, more competitive within the in the 16th region. Compared to when I played, there was times we're winning by 50 or 60 nightly. You don't see very many of those type of games now in the 16th region.
Absolutely. It's kind of a rare situation for you guys this season. Just one senior, one upperclassman, that is, in Shelby Huddleston. How has that been? Like, you have Shelby with a lot of the leadership on her shoulders, with the rest of them being sophomores and younger.
Yeah, she's been awesome. She's so positive with them, and she's been so patient. And, she's been with me since 7th grade, so she knows the expectations. She knows how things we need to do to win. And I think the younger kids have really bought into her and really have wanted to follow her. And this young bunch is just so talented. And one thing that's a little different is most of them love to play basketball, and they play it all the time.
If you had to pinpoint 1 or 2 of the biggest strengths that you guys have that could maybe carry you far into the postseason once again, what would you say?
Well, the first thing is our unselfishness. I think we're very unselfish. We do a really good job moving the ball. And another thing that's great about this group is we really crash the boards, and we're pretty solid defensively.
And that's kind of, you talk about the boards, that's kind of led by Maggie Jackamsuck. And, you look at Madison Darnell and some of the guards, I mean, they can get in there and rebound too, can't they?
Yeah, Madison's actually our second leading rebounder, and she actually asked me about a week ago if she could kind of crash the offensive boards more because she's usually the person back being the point guard. So she wants to get in there, and the great thing is she's great since she's been out, we've realized how important she is on the back side of our zone. And Shelby Huddleston will also get in there on the boards too.
Just a few weeks left in the season before district tournaments begin. I think just about 3 weeks left. And, what is it? It looks like you guys are getting healthy about the right time. Mm-hmm. What is it that you really want to see in these next 3 weeks?
One thing that I do want to see is our team defense. I always want our team defense to get better. I want us to talk a little bit more. I want to start limiting people to 1 shot per possession. That hurt us a little bit against East Carter. And on offense, I want to make sure we're executing our plays the way that we need to, getting players where we need in certain spots. And most importantly right now, where we've struggled a little bit is hitting shots, and that just comes with our confidence. Mm-hmm. And I feel like our confidence is continuing to grow.
Excellent. Well, Coach, good luck the rest of the season. It's great having you down here again. You can watch Russell. Of course, they've played Wednesday and Thursday, but you can watch them on Saturday night against Bath County. They're coming in 7:30 game, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, Coach. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, Zach, it's time for HTPTs. 2 for the road, and I'll go first. I'll take the wheel.
All right.
All right. Now, you've seen a lot of times, during basketball games, or even football games, sometimes, players will lose their contact, and players will be searching all around for their contact, and, there's stoppage in play, and so on and so forth. Well, during hockey games, sometimes you're searching for teeth. Zach Parisi, the left wing in the Minnesota Wild the other night, got his tooth knocked out by a flying puck. I think somebody hit the knuckle puck. You see the Mighty Ducks? Yep. I think somebody hit the knuckle puck. Executed perfectly. It was wobbling around, and it hit him square on the mouth. And instead of, going down in agony, he actually went down to the ice, started looking for his tooth. I guess he was trying to, find it so he could put it in a little box and put it under his pillow the other night. But, man, hockey players are tough. Just another example of that. They have the visors, but maybe they need to look into the face mask. I know the goaltenders wear a protective face mask, but I mean those players, man, they're exposed. I mean their face below their nose is exposed, and that's why you see hockey players getting teeth knocked out like Zach Parisi of the Minnesota Wild. But man, they're tough.
Well, I mean, there for a while they didn't even wear helmets, and then after they had helmets, they didn't have visors. And you would see sometimes older players would be out there on the ice when these new things were introduced, but they would be grandfathered in, so they wouldn't have to do that. And like you see guys like, I think Bobby Orr played for several years after they introduced helmets, but he didn't wear one because he was kind of grandfathered in. And if it's a comfort thing maybe, or maybe it's a pride and machismo thing, I don't know, but
maybe
whatever
you're
works.
seeing that a little bit with the they're experimenting with the helmets for pitchers, and I know a couple of relievers have tried it, but it's an uncomfortable thing for those pitchers to try. So maybe in years down the road, people will be talking about that as well. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Also, Zach Parisi, man, he's a tough guy off the ice too. He and his wife had twins a year ago.
Yeah.
And that'll test your patience.
So I hear. All right, we'll kind of switch gears a little bit. We saw that the Reds locked up Devin Mesoraco for the next 4 years.
Good move for the Reds.
I agree. He's one of the guys we've talked about their kind of inconsistency last year at times, and they didn't do a lot offensively, and there was times where it didn't look like they were really invested or engaged. He was one of those guys that you never really had to worry about. Played with a lot of fire, intensity. You remember a couple of years ago where he got into it with an umpire and got suspended for several games or for during a pennant race there. And I think that kind of spark, he and Todd Frazier, I think, are two guys that really bring that more so than really anybody else on the roster, or at least a position player at this point. And Mesoraco's still a young guy. He'll get $28 million over the next 4 years, which is it's an investment certainly on the Reds' part. But if he's able to stay healthy, and that's always a question mark for a catcher, but if he's able to stay healthy, I think he's a good building block and somebody they'll want to keep around for a while.
He's a good athlete, too. He can run a little bit for a catcher, and obviously he can hit. He brings a big stick. He hit 25 home runs last year, drove in over 80 runs. I think he might be a candidate to bat in that cleanup spot.
Could be.
Provide some protection in the middle for Joey Votto.
Yep.
So we'll see how they handle that. But a few other guys they're looking at and maybe getting contracts, too, is Todd Frazier, like you mentioned, another all-star. And then Billy Hamilton in center field. I think those guys need to be locked up. I think Cueto, like Matt and I were talking about last week with Max Scherzer, getting $30 million. As much as Cueto likes Cincinnati, I think he's probably going to like that green a little bit more.
And they've talked about how he's comfortable with Cincinnati, and he's got some guys from the Dominican that are on the club that he's comfortable with, and he likes the setup there. But there's been speculation he might be willing to take a little bit of a hometown discount, but realistically, he's probably priced out of Cincinnati at this point, so he may not even be around for the full season if the Reds are kind of struggling earlier, if they fall out of contention.
We're 3 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting.
I like it.
It's always a bright sign.
4 best words in the English language.
All right, once again, HTPT is sponsored by Fannin Automotive Family. We want to thank Russell girls basketball coach Mandy Layne for joining us. It's really good talking to her, and once again, I want to wish the best of luck to her and the Russell Lady Devils the rest of the season, as well as the other teams in this area. It should be an exciting stretch the next 3 weeks leading up to the district tournament. So. And we may have an announcement coming up next week about some of the HTPT's plans coming in the postseason for the district tournament and region tournament time.
Shake things up a little bit.
Shake things up. All right, from Zack Klemme, I'm Aaron Snyder. You watched HTPT today. Hopefully you're back next week.